What is up, everyone? We are live. It's another episode of Draw and Talk. It's your boy Tyler. And guys, we have a fantastic show happening tonight. We're gonna have a silly goose time. I am tired. I am freaking tired. I just got back from Vegas on a business trip. It was really fun. Got to talk to a lot of potential clients for my day job, my marketing business that I run. And while literally I was talking about this in my Substack. Hold on. If you're not a member of the Substack, you gotta jump on. But I talked about how let's see, all these freaking tabs, guys. Fuck. I was talking about how this was my crazy week. If you haven't, here, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. If you haven't read it, go read this shit. But I was saying how Tuesday. I fulfilled the girl with the mega fist, packed up all the packages and sent them out. It was like over 300, 400. It was 400 packages, I think. And 500 or 550 books in total. Wednesday, I had to go into a mountain. We did a snowboarding commercial. And so I was up in the mountains. And then Thursday to Friday, I was in Vegas for a networking convention. I had to take all these people out to dinner and shit. Saturday morning, I was like, okay, one of my clients is in Vegas. It's a female-only gym. Let me film the trainers doing their twerking booty workouts. So did that, and then Sunday get home. Saturday get home, and then on my doorstep is Bullet Assassin Living in a Fantasy World, which is the next book we're fulfilling. The next book that we're fulfilling, but the next project that we're launching is My Sexy Witch Academia numbers 1, 2, and 3, which is on pre-launch, and that is going to be available here very soon. Let's see. I just gotta put all these freaking links in the thing. All right, so. Yeah, I need to separate all this crap. There we go. So, I'm super excited. We're going to do a live stream on Wednesday talking about My Sexy Witch Academia. It's going to be a silly goose time. We got people. We got Massive Panda in the house. We got Niobe. We got Al Jamil. I know a certain pro that is obsessed with Tyler. Oh, yeah, dude, man. He is obsessed. 3 minutes late, it's official. Tyler ghosted us. No, man, I'm here. I had my kid, man. He was not wanting to go to sleep. We got Rezik77 here. What's up? How you doing? All right, dude, guys, let's get this show on the road. I have a fantastic guest. You guys will recognize this guest because me and this guest have had beef, and then we squashed the beef, and then we had a common enemy at one point, and then we won, and then now I don't know. It's so stupid. It's so stupid to think about. But yeah, let's bring in Stokes. Stokes, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that was a really efficient recounting of everything that happened.
Real quick, I don't want to get into it, but
no, I hear you.
How crazy was that New Year's tweet from that individual? I woke up and it was like, what?
I don't know, bro, but all I know is you use my comic in your thumbnail, so
dude,
prepare for another strike.
Prepare for another strike. Damn, that's hilarious, dude. Let's we have a lot to talk about, only a short amount of time. Guys, real quick, It's Fun to Kill People number 1 and 2 is live on Kickstarter now, guys. I backed the first one, and look at that, you already got a backer. This is what happens when you come on my show. You immediately get a backer.
Hell yeah.
But no, this is I actually backed the first one without I just did it on my own. I did it on my own volition because I don't even know if I used that word right, because I was like, this looks good. This looks different. I mean, it's one cover, fantastic. But the art style in this is fantastic. I think the art style is extremely unique in what you'll see in the indie comic scene. And some, people might dismiss it because it's oh, this looks really cartoony. It's no, read the story and you realize it's kind of actually fucked up that the art is as cartoony. It's kind of fucked up that the art is as cartoony as it is. But it's a fantastic, it's a fun story. I had a fun time with the first one. I'm gonna be back in the second one. How long is this story? How long am I have to get invested into It's Fun to Kill People?
Man, it's Fun to Kill People is personally like my favorite series to work on. And right now I have it planned for 12 issues.
Fuck, dude, 12. That's so many. After you're
Bro, but
invested
it's
that long.
yeah, bro, but it's like, long form storytelling is lit, but it's also vignette style storytelling too. So they're like, there's a lot of self-contained stuff in there. But no, this is like, no, yeah, this is my personal favorite series. So it's definitely satisfying to see it do well. And honestly, you asked me about I know the campaign. I don't give a fuck about aliens,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's that one, by the way. Like that did big numbers. That did
yeah,
like over 20K.
it did 21K, 21.3 or some shit. Who's
Yeah,
counting?
that's like
But
that's like your best one.
that was my best one, yeah. And then EC3 came and was ended up being better. But it is what it is. But yeah, I that was all that was in preparation for this. I wanted to make sure I wanted to follow that up with this to make sure that this got the boost it needed to keep continue to be successful. So it's like, like I love it when a plan comes together. Like it was like the last 4 months have kind of just been paying like, a lot of stuff just kind of paying off
Yeah.
um and lining up really well.
Well, okay, so like guys, we're gonna I'll get I want to we will get into like the like what this story is deeper. We just want to do a quick plug, but I want to like get into what you're saying, Stokes, like this plan, and I think
Hmm.
like that's something that also like I'm like so semi super jealous. And I'm just like I just can't do it anymore. Like spend the amount of time I wish I could on indie comics. I think like the like what you've got going with like you, Chris Moses, like one just you two in general, and like
Yeah.
Armin, like just like three dudes who love making comics who are putting out comics on the regular. In this like when I was around, when I was getting up, you would do like one Kickstarter a year. Like that was what the norm was. And now
Yeah.
the norm for some creators is let's do five or six, and sometimes even more. If you're a Pat Shand, you're doing 2 3 a month. But he's a different level. But I think what's cool is that like you're doing around like five or six a year, maybe more.
No, I'm doing. I mean, if you conclude, I co-write Exodus Club, so I count those.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And I help with like a lot. It's a
Well, I
co-created.
guess maybe just the ones on your personal profile.
On my personal part, I think I did 7 last year. I
Okay,
did 7 last year and 7 the year before. This year I'm going for like 9, honestly.
damn. But I
Hmm.
just like this idea of like people don't realize that like with Kickstarter and like indie comics, you can plan out quote unquote success if you do it the
Yes.
right way. Like that like and like correct me if I'm wrong, but like that I don't give a fuck. That what's the best way to like say it? Just ID.
I don't give a fuck about aliens.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
what
give a fuck about
that's
aliens. Like, yeah, like
yeah.
that like that one is gonna hit the Kickstarter algorithm really well.
Yeah.
It's an NSFW. It's spicy. The art is really sexy. Um, and by the way, you don't cheapen on your like. There's some people who do like really sexy covers and then like their interiors are ass, and I've yet to see you cheapen that on any of your
Never,
books.
bro.
So like I appreciate that, but it's like one of those things where like okay, this one is gonna hit the algorithm. It's Fun to Kill People might not ever hit that algorithm or the thing that the audience is going to like. But if I can put out this one first, generate enough new backers to come into the Stokes family, then when you show out this, they're going to get a notification that says, hey, Stokes has a new one. And all those new fans are going to be like, oh, let's check this one out. And like people don't think of that kind of like strategy when they're releasing their books.
Yeah, and it did take a lot of plan. I mean, this was in the works. I mean, essentially since the end of 2023, really. And I got a great artist, in Patrick Mulholland. And yeah, for my point of emphasis for me was like better art across the table. I would say the interior art has gotten better, significantly better than not better. Relative has gotten better than the covers. Like I feel like it's about the same.
Yeah.
I would say, and I want everything to be great, to be clear. But that was a big point. If it's like, all right, let's really let's get creative and like let's find some good artists. And there's some overlap between like Cyborg, my girlfriend's Cyborg Assassin. That was another one before that led up. Yeah, we left that one out. That one led up to Aliens as well. So Aliens had like 100 people from that campaign that kind of, so yeah, it was kind of it was a kind of a snowball effect essentially. And yeah, I mean, I think I was talking to Chris Moses about this. It's like I believe in process a lot. I believe in putting yourself in advantageous situations and using everything, like trying to put yourself in the best position and get that competitive edge in every way possible. So yeah, putting them back to back to back. If you swap that order, Aliens probably doesn't. No, if you just spin around the order, Aliens probably doesn't do 21K. Maybe Cyborg does better. I don't think It's Fun to Kill People does as well. Yeah, so it's about thoughtfulness and foresight.
And I think also it's like understanding. I think it's important as you as a creator is understanding which books are gonna hit despite maybe like the one that you like love the most. Like for me, I know that My Sexy Witch Academia is probably gonna hit better than some of my other
Yeah,
titles because it is very like Kickstarter has the NSFW stuff. But if I can then release like Bullet Assassin after that, which doesn't have maybe all of that stuff, but people then can jump in on that title afterwards. Even though I love both those stories, you can just you know that some of these books aren't going to get the Kickstarter attention at first, and so if you can drive that with, oh, let's get attention with here, okay, now let's bring that, some of it will come back at
yeah.
some
My
point.
At the start of my career, so I did the Kane and Choose of Thoughts, and I was at a con, and the guy, I was like, hey, do you like horror? That would be my pitch. I would switch it up. And if somebody didn't like horror, they were cooked. So really, my first 2022, 2023 was more about like doing like a lot of different titles. And then like now 2024, like, okay, the cons are going great. I think I do fantastic at cons, and honestly, it kept the lights on a lot of times. Like I
Nice.
would go to a con, it's Friday, I'm like, yo, I need to hit X or we're cooked, we're
Okay.
homeless. And so it was kind of also kind of like brand. I think there is overlap with Cyborg, and it's fun to kill people, and I don't give a fuck about aliens. Like as well as like also having a brand. I also think what's important is being able to get invested in. For me, it's like finding that angle to get invested in a story. You're a professional writer, you're gonna have to write. I mean, that means to write like it's your job. I don't always want to show up to work. I'm not always, but finding that thing to get you enthused about everything. I can tell you what excites me about every single
I
project.
love that.
None of them are layups. Like Exorcist Club, I love the process. I love working with Chris and come up with fun ideas, and it's like a real chill, like kind of fun thing to do. And then I don't give a fuck about aliens. It was like the comedy, like doing the outright comedy, and like seeing this artwork and like really putting my chips all in into a location. So you just got to find a way to get invested. Also, like I thought somebody said something. Oh, it was Nandor. He was talking. Shouts out to Nandor. He was like, "Do you think?" He's like, "Do you how do you think everybody has artistic integrity or something like that?" And I was like, I think like the misconception is that like and I think this might I don't know where you're going, but this might kind of foray into what you might want to get into, is that there's a perception that like nobody's trying to make. I don't think a lot of people are trying to make a bad comic, and I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of gatekeeping in the sense of like yeah, like, oh, if you the perception is, hey, if you make stuff that's sexy, you don't care about
The
the story.
storytelling or the art, the medium, or yeah.
I'm gonna give you a couple different directions to go. I was in a writing's room with Pat, and I mean, we spent an entire 2 days talking about story and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 whole days, we went through and hammered out this, that, this, that, this, that. So it's like, no, we definitely care about story. I don't like, I think most people do.
I think that it's understanding like one, when you're in an arena like Kickstarter, you're you as a writer, like you can write all day, Stokes. I can write, we
Yeah.
can like you we can create all day long, but we're talking business right now. Like
Yeah.
we want our attention, and so like for me, for example, someone asks me, do you how come I can't get any of those sexy covers on your website? And I'm like, those are just for Kickstarter because I know that's what the Kickstarter people want, and it's just a business
Hmm.
decision. And
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with like, oh, Tyler lacks integrity. It's like, no, if someone, I know Kickstarter people want that, they want that, and I give it to them, and then crazy thing is they come back for the next chapter. They keep coming back for the
Yeah.
next chapter. And like if it was just gimmicky, people would just buy. And another thing is like I don't have like top tier like professional like brand name artists on my covers. And so it's like you can't like people are coming in because they like the story. They're not able to flip any of my books. Like none of my people, none of my books are collector's items because I don't
Yeah.
hire those kind of people who are going to collection. And so you're right. I do feel that sometimes people will get in their own way. It's like why not just give them that cover? Like because that could help you. It could actually boost you. It doesn't take away from the fact that you created an amazing story. It actually might help you if you just think maybe from a business lens just for a second.
Yeah, and people have that bad word, but like I said, I mean, nobody's gonna tell me I'm not. I mean, they tried, but nobody's gonna convince me that I don't love story. You know what I'm saying? That's what I devote my time to, my free time to, all that. And people can do what they want. Just don't complain to me if your book doesn't sell or what have you. That's my big thing. Do what you want. Like I'm never gonna tell somebody what to do, but like don't get mad at me or anybody else because your shit's not selling.
You just gotta play the game.
All.
You gotta play the game.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Just play your game.
And accept the result and accept the results of your game.
Yeah.
I do think that's one thing that does anger me. And I mean, you were like my my humble self. I was like, Stokes, you gotta do it my way. And you were like, hey Tyler, what if you just like fucking killed yourself and stopped saying that? No, you never said that. I know, but like it was like, you know what? Like who am I? Like who am I? And I now with other creators, I'm like, hey, why don't you just like stop doing that? Like you don't have to get in other people's way. They'll figure it out. I will say this is the only thing I will say. Like, yo, Stokes, how come you're not doing it? Whatever happened to you guys' YouTube channel?
Bro, we're just busy. We just made comics, like we I got a lot of new gigs, bro. I mean, I went up to Long Island fucking like last Sunday.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about this. That's your excuse. You're just like busy writing. You don't want to advertise.
I got the thing is I make a lot of fucking comics and a lot of these comics aren't even shit that I'm publishing, right? Like I got a series with AJ Earthtone. We have a series working on. It's going to come out very soon. I mean, it's just so much. It's just so much. Like I went up to Long Island and I got like 5, 6, 7, 8 new scripts. You know what I'm saying? Now I get home and I get a script, and then American Kuza is doing good. That might get a part 2. So it's like it's just a lot of time, and I just want to focus.
Oh,
and it's not that I'll never do it.
I forget that you're part of that one.
I do a lot, bro. we do a lot.
I back those and read those. What do you do in them? Are you the writer?
Me and Chris and Charlie co-write them.
Okay, I enjoy those.
Yeah, they're like and there's some beautiful. That's a beautiful book, and just because like nobody, and we were. It's been so crazy to see that, but I mean that's the longest short of it. Yeah, I'm just
busy. You're busy just actually making comics.
Making comics.
Well, talk to me about So for those of you people who don't know, Pat Stand's the GOAT. He's got a company called Space Between. What I love about Pat Stand is that in the Twitter sphere, everyone's always talking about either the Rippaverse, Iconic Comics, or like EVS and CG and all that bullshit. And Pat never ever gets discussed, even though he puts out 100x more books than all of those companies and creators combined. But what's great is he's like, I don't need the attention because A, the work speaks for itself, and 2, I don't want the attention from the Twitter people. It's just gonna slow me down. And what Pat has done is he has now grown the company of Space Between, and he's added you and Chris as story editors, if I'm not mistaken. So like tell us about that gig. Like I know like Pat kind of like took you in under his took you and Chris under his wing, and then like really showed you guys the rope, and then like you guys all invested in each other, which fantastic. Like I just think that's how it should have been. That's how it should be done with all these people on fucking Twitter. But instead it's just like, wing, how about I break your fucking wing? And it's like so like I think it's really cool. Tell me about your role with Space Between. Why did you think this was something worth your time like adding onto your plate?
Yeah, I think Pat, because I do get along very, very well with Pat. And at a point, Pat was like the only bigger guy that I got along with comics for a while there. And no, I mean Pat. First off, Pat's a great guy. I consider him family. You know what I'm saying? Not
Yeah.
family like I consider him family. And he's just he took us under a wing, and we also just kind of nuzzled our way in. We just kind of we made sure to be there. I did cons for him. I would go out to cons and stuff like that. He would give us advice, and it just became a point where some things opened up, and he was like, "All right, cool, here you guys go." Um, and yeah, I mean, it's beautiful because as story editor, one, I get to pick his brain. Like anytime I can, he's one of the great comic minds in my opinion. And I get to, and his level of quality is immaculate. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't look to that space between book and say, "Oh, this was lazy." Like that, even if it's not your thing, it's like, all right, the effort is there. And it's just great to be kind of on a up and coming company, but also like to me, genuinity is the most important thing. I've gotten a lot of headaches, a lot of problems just trying, putting genuinity first. But I don't have that with Pat. I feel like I can be honest. Sometimes I'm too honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that. Like I can speak my mind. I know I can speak my mind, and it's cool. It's like working with my older brother, and it's an amazing opportunity too. We're gonna get a lot of credits, which is what one thing I really wanted. I'm gonna get a lot of credits working on Darkville here. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Got a couple gigs in that series that's gonna be fire. So yeah, it's lit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it adds. It's one thing that's like helped me in like my personal career is always making sure I'm in the room with the right people. And even if it's like even if it's like I'm gonna stay late. Why are you staying late? Because the guy who's the right guy is staying late. And if he knows if he sees I'm staying late, and then if he ever once just talks with me, and gives me a chance to utter an idea, he might listen because I'm the only one in the room. And that's how I've been able to like get up with my careers. I'm always trying to surround myself with the right people. So yeah, like Pat is one of those people in indie comics where you want to surround. If he says, "Hey, do you want to do this?" and he's so knowledgeable. I mean, my series, My Sexy Witch Academia, is my most profitable series, and I pitched him the idea, and he said, "I'll give you 10K." And I went, "What? What do you mean?" And like, keep in mind, I was broke. I only launched My Sexy Witch because I needed money, and he's like, "I'll just give you 10K, and I'll have the idea, and you can make it for me, but I keep all the money. But like, I'll give you 10K." And I was like, "Oh damn! Like, I actually need 10K." I was like, if Pat thinks this is a good idea, I should just run with it. And then like it's benefited me keep having that series and keeping it's benefited me a lot. But Pat can see things. He can just know like now this is gonna hit, or this isn't.
He also, yeah. What also was great is that we weren't, and me and Chris, we weren't sitting on our laurels either, right? Like it's easy to bring guys in that are doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? They're doing really well. And it would have been a mistake for me to be like, I mean, Pat was one of the reasons why I kept making comics through all the bullshit. Cause like, okay, like this is a silver lining. And I didn't take that as a thing of like, oh man, I got to guarantee this, that coming in. I get to ride on his coattails. I was like, okay, cool. This gives me like almost the security to feel like, all right, I'm gonna be all right. No matter what.
But you weren't like sucking his dick to be like, oh, like you were putting in the work by yourself. You weren't just like, hey, like we're friends, you should give me opportunities. Hey, we're friends, you should give me opportunities. You're like, you and Chris have been making your own opportunities for the last 2-3 years, and then it's like, hey, you guys have earned this.
Yeah.
Now jump on board. And I think that's
yeah. Damn near, I would say damn near force his hand. Maybe that's not the best way to put it, but in the sense of like we made it so easy to like I feel like bring on and using what he's saying and applying it as well. So it's a great opportunity, like I said, like to get a credit on everything coming out, which is amazing. That's like goddamn 30 books a year. Like that's insane. That's so good. He gave me some co-writing gigs, which I really appreciate. We got some great stuff coming out. And also I want to shout out Charlie McKelvey, who also did something similar with the American Yakuza. Definitely like, and gave me some money when bro, you couldn't have been broker than me when that American Yakuza check hit. Boy, shit, this shit is expensive.
You do making comics is expensive, which is why like I like the phrase that you said and Kane sketches it says saying nobody sets out to make a bad comic except maybe Andrew Tate. Um, like I don't know why anyone thinks that like, oh, you're just trying to make a bad comic. Like there's a lot better things I could do with the money than making a comic. This is expensive. Like right now I'm in this like I've got to fulfill all these books first and then like launch this next book so then I can like pay for the next two books. I've got artists like on standby. They're like, "Yo, when are we going?" I'm like, "Yo, chill. I'm broke." Like I'm
Yeah,
broke. Like I'm trying to fulfill everything first and then we can start on the next project. This stuff's expensive and
yeah.
if I'm going to put in thousands of dollars every book, I'm going to try to do the best of my ability to make a good story. And so yeah, I just think I think it is disingenuous when people are like, "Oh, like they put boobs on their book. They're not trying to make a good book."
Haters, bro. Like haters, yeah. Like keep in mind, a lot of people make. You know, what I'm saying apparently Alan Moore's making like smut these days. You know, like the savior, is doing that. So it's like, yo, it is what it is. If you can't write a good story about anything, I don't think you're a good writer. You know, essentially, that's my take. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Um, and like all yeah, it's just haters. Like people are going to invalidate anything you do, and that was something also that I had to like really internalize. It's like, yo, if somebody's made up their mind about you, there's nothing you can do to try to convince them about this or that. It's not even worth the effort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and that's something I realized is like, why am I even expending energy trying to prove these people wrong verbally? It's just like just let it happen. And I'm gonna say this, I feel like I was right about everything. Like in the long term, I was right about everything. Like, oh, you're not gonna be here long, blah blah blah. Like, oh, you never hit 10K is what they told me. And
You kept
you know,
going.
we can pull up the Kickstarter, if we
Yeah,
need
you
to.
kept going. I mean, I was one of those people.
You was definitely one of
You
them.
know, I was.
Yo,
Shut up.
you might have been the person.
Shut
You say no.
up.
No, but I started to understand. I actually started contextualizing this, and I started to really understand like the disconnect because I thought about it, right? And this is something that I won't get into specifics on who said what, right? But I use the term hater, right? I'm coming to a space, and you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
I heard hater in 2003 from 50 Cent and then like Lil Wayne and all that. And I get in the comic space and I'm saying hater because I've been using the term hater for
Yeah.
fucking 15 years, 17 years. Um, and then it's like, oh, you're talking like EVS. And it's like, bro, I don't know. One, I know who the fuck is that. Like, and when I first time, like, who the fuck is that?
Uh huh.
And it's like that's just a small example of like, no, like he sounds like 50 Cent. He sounds like Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? It's like all these little kind of disagreements and kind of like this kind of like roughness that came into that I didn't even realize was going on. I realized that this like last year. I was like, damn, I wish I had that level of
Understanding of like of what
understanding.
the scene was looking what the scene looked like, and then you go, oh, this is actually why shit can get misunderstood.
Exactly.
Because the moment you and I understood one another, it was like, oh fuck, like what that was a waste of a year and a half, like of of pettiness. So I will say
Yeah.
one thing I think what's cool about what you and Chris are doing, especially as I won't call you guys the new kids on the block anymore. I know you guys were calling yourselves that for a bit.
We got some years on
Yeah,
this
you're
shit.
yeah. You got there. You guys have put out more books than some people that like I know that are still around. Um, I I've I heard this analogy once because you have some creators who will look at it like, you're putting out multiple books, Chris multiple books. I put out multiple books. A lot of people put out multiple books, and people say, oh, they can't be good at writing. They can't be good at storytelling because they're putting out so much. So you can't give the attention that you need for make a good story if you're doing that many. But I don't know. What do you think? I heard this analogy. I want to know what your thoughts are. You had these two people, and it wasn't even an analogy. It was actually a study. They had two sets of students learn how to make pottery. One set,
Yeah.
and then they said they come back in 30 days to see which group could make the best pot. The first set of students, they could only work on one pot, and then the
Yeah.
second set of students could make as many pots as they wanted until like the last day. And by when they came back 30 days later, they found the person who spent the full 30 days trying to make one really good pot couldn't make a pot, and everyone who had made a bunch of pots, the final pot that they made was perfect. And I don't know about you, like I personally feel like every time I put out a new story or a book, I'm leveling up. But if I just, because you don't know what you don't know and you only learn by experience, but if I was just sitting there on the same panel one, how can I make panel one sound just that much better? It's like, how can I make this extra 2 words of dialogue? It's like, that's not moving the needle. Like, let's finish the book. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because you guys put out lots of books, and I know there's some people who are like, no, you only work on one book. And what are your thoughts on that?
And that's their thing to do. Here's what I'm gonna say: if you make one book a year, I'm smoking you at a fucking convention. I swear to God. You're
just on the business, just on the business side.
If you're next to me, like one, I'm cooking you because I have multiple. I have every genre. I'll have every genre coming up except westerns, and that's on the way. I mean, they say like, oh, you're working on so many books, you can't be a good writer, or the writing can't be good. I would argue you could only do that. Oh, maybe not. I would say that's potentially a sign that you're a good writer. You know, if you can work on multiple things at once. Also, it's about like flow, and it's about like a conveyor belt or whatever your process is, right? Like you just optimize the process. Like for me, I'm getting the pre-launch up as soon as possible. So now the pre-launch will kind of grow up, you know, in the background. And it's like, all right, yeah, like a script, feedback, second draft, sketch, inks, colors, letters, printing, fulfillment. Like that's kind of like, you know, everything has its own steps and stuff like that. I don't think people should be remarking on books they haven't read. Like, you know, simply put, that's my take. Like, if you ain't read a book, shut the fuck up.
I do agree with that. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, oh, you probably have bad taste and stuff. Did you like the new Little Mermaid movie? And I'm like, you know what? I didn't even watch it, so no comment. Like,
yeah, there's a lot. Oh boy, that's a whole
other thing. But it's like, you can't say like, oh, most of these indie books are bad on Kickstarter. It's like, I don't see you backing them. How can you know if they're bad? In terms of business, you're right. Like, you only have one book on your table, one series, you're screwed.
Yeah,
you're screwed.
You're screwed. Because what if they don't fuck with? Let's say it's American Yakuza. Like, oh, I don't like action. I like sci-fi or horror. You're fried. You're fucking fried. You know. And nobody can, like I said, and it's apparent if you look at my books, you look at Chris's books. There's no doubt that everything that you can judge without actually reading it has gotten better, right? Like the art has gotten better, the covers have gotten better, the campaigns are more organized, et cetera, et cetera. They're getting fulfilled better. The only thing that is up to date is the writing, and people aren't reading the books, you know? And it's like, that's just the thing in life. You know, people, I mean, when did like, don't judge a book by its cover? When did we forget that? You know, when did that stop being a thing that people really cared about? You know what I'm saying? Because a book can have bad art and still be a good book. You know, like one of my favorite books is Girls by the Unibrothers. And I can name probably like 30 to 50 books or series that have like, I guess, like aesthetically better art, like they're more pleasing to the eye. But in terms of visual storytelling, which you can't judge visual storytelling without reading the book.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like sequential art, you know, one after the motherfucking other. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant, you know. So it's, as soon as I stopped caring about that shit, bro, I just started feeling like a lot better. I stopped engaging with the dumb shit. I felt a lot better, and I understand why I felt like I needed to. You know, I understand why I felt like I'm in this space. I'm coming in. Nobody can call me like a bitch or like, you know, like a quitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, when nobody's calling me a bitch. Nobody, you know, like from a bunch of like comic creators. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen those guys in person. Like they're not.
Yeah.
Come on, take it easy.
Let's see. We got Mr. Bug. Let's go through the chat real quick. We have Mr. Bug. I think when working on multiple projects, it's a balance thing. I'm scripting about 9 issues of my first book, and I just started scripting my other book's first issue. It just depends on the headspace. As well, for me, like if you are just a writer and you're only writing 1 book a year, you're not writing enough. And because if you're only putting out like 1 or 2 books out a year, don't tell me you spent like 6 months writing the script of your 20-page book each. Like that's that's, and you can't tell me like, oh well, it took me 6 months to make the perfect. It's I don't believe that for a second.
You know how much can go wrong with a fucking book, dog? Like, and that's another thing. Do you understand that most of the time? And I will say what I've experienced is like once you hit a certain echelon of artists, they're usually just doing the inks, you know? So it's like you can have great inks and fucked up colors, vice versa. The lettering, you know, there's just so much stuff that can go. You can run like for a craft that's so expensive. It's always so weird to me how like how mean people can be, you know, like how harsh people can be, you know,
Yeah,
like
and
yeah,
rude. Yeah, and rude, and also like sometimes like you'll get the art back. You'll look at your script and go, I went wrong as the writer.
yes,
I went wrong.
100%.
So now I can't ask the artist to redraw it. They did their job. I gotta go now Frankenstein this to make this as good as possible. Like you just like
We're just
there's no perfect script, but there you can fit you like at the end of the day the comic is always evolving with each step.
you also need to learn how to work with different artists. Like some artists, they need a lot of details. They need like not I don't want to say they're handheld, but
Instruction. They need instructions.
instructions. And some artists will kind of like just get it. Some of these artists, we don't speak the same language, so it's like you can't be as it's just all these things. And if you're only working with one artist, I feel like that's what could get lost. And like that's one thing that I love, you know, about the process. Like now I know, okay, I know how to work. I feel like I know how to work with any artist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know how, yeah, I know how to work with any artist, which is great.
Because you've put out so many books, worked with so many different artists, colorists, letters. You know, okay, I have more experience. I can get
Yeah.
myself out of tricky situations because I've already experienced each of these problems multiple times. 100%. Massive Panda, repetition equals practice. Repetition builds muscle in the gym. I have no reason to believe it doesn't work the same way in other disciplines. 100%. Massive. I've seen Pat's stuff on Kickstarter several times. I've never gotten one of his books. I've heard his stuff is really good. I need to look further into his work. Travis, I heard From Hell wouldn't make it on Kickstarter. Damn.
Yeah, his new stuff with all the sex.
Yeah. Mr.
That,
Bug,
that,
Massive again. I agree with Stokes on the harshness, especially on the art side of things. You draw your ass off on a comic and someone zooms in and trashes it because you drew a forearm vein incorrectly. Like, come on. And so what I'm hearing is variety is key. I think it's good to have. I mean, I think it's good to have variety. I think it's good to show that you can flex different muscles because especially like in the indie comic scene, like you never know what could and couldn't hit. Like I did a supernatural series called Demons for 15 issues. I could never crack over 3K on a campaign. And so it was like, you know what? This is like either this series isn't good or it's just not what people want or both or something. So we got to get out of this genre. Let's try something new. Let's write different
or
series.
just keep going.
But you
No,
could
just keep going with the series.
I could. I mean,
Yeah,
you could if I wanted to like hate my life every like time I released a book.
Yeah, I think my thing is like everything's gonna have a different audience range. For me, it's almost like if I do the sexy stuff to ensure that I can keep telling stories. I remember Larry asked me, he was like, "But your heart's not in this," and like my heart isn't storytelling. You know what I'm saying? Like simply put, my heart isn't storytelling. Whatever that looks like is what I want to. That's what I want to do.
And it's just
You
what
know,
and
actually,
you're doing whatever it takes to continue storytelling. So if it means
yeah,
throw out a couple sexy covers in order to fund more storytelling, then yeah, let's keep
yeah, and
storytelling.
I don't fucking mind. And guess what? Like when I go to a con, I don't have the sexy covers on there because it's a different audience. I have like the standard covers on there, and
Mm.
The standard covers sell as well, just not well. Yeah, they sell as well. You know what I'm saying? Like Decay, is like my best selling series at a con still. Like to this day. I mean,
Oh,
I've
really?
sold probably 1,000 copies of that shit. Like not every individual, but like I've sold so many copies of something in
Do
that
you have
book.
another? What's the one that's? I mean, DK is like your oldest series.
That's my first
What's the
series.
one that's catching up with it these days?
Shit, it's hard. No, it's just so many. Like it just for the fact that I sold that mostly that for like the first 2 years. Like it's nothing is catching up in terms of cons.
Okay.
Like it's
Well,
just the sheer amount. Also, the beauty of having like a finished series is like, yo, I'll get 1 through 3. I'll get 1 through
oh, okay,
5.
gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
What's your next best series then in terms of con sales?
Tabard I would say.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Because people like wrestling, right? Like I said, I got something for everybody except superhero books, and I have 2 superhero books coming out real soon. So.
Nice. And that's the thing is like wrestling is big in the comic book world. They people like
There's a
wrestling.
lot of overlap with all these different, and I beat this drum before. There's all this overlap with other different like wrestling and rap music and metal and punk and all this shit. But if you don't you ever try to bring that kind of attitude to comics, no, then you're fucking God knows what. God knows what they're gonna call you if you bring some of that, machismo into making comics. Like you're the fucking you're Satan reincarnated,
That's
But
hilarious. Well, hey, we've got we're like 20 minutes to go till we end. We've got our peak. We've now hit our peak viewership. So now let's now we share. Now we pitch because we've hit our peak viewership. Tell us about It's Fun to Kill People. Why should people check this book out?
because it's sexy. No,
No.
because honestly, it's like kind of a throwback. It's kind of like it's got 2 foots in modern storytelling, but it's also a throwback to like Calvin Hobbes. Like I used to be grounded a lot. Surprise, surprise. Little badass little kid. And all I could read the best day of the weekend was a Sunday paper because that bitch will keep you entertained all fucking day. It had the Sudoku. It had like 3 pages of comics. Some of them were colored. So that was really the thing. I'm kind of going back to that, and the beauty of it is to me the vignette storytelling, but also I can switch it up. I want something to keep me on my toes when I'm reading something. I want something like I don't know what's happening next. And this is that. Like you don't know if I want you pick up an issue of It's Fun to Kill People. I don't know what I want people to be like, what is this going to be? Is this going to be sad, funny, scary, tense? I want people to experience all that. And also the character work here, I think is my best character work personally. Yeah, like the character Jessica and Tommy, like I noticed I really like writing pairs.
Because they can play off of
And
each other.
they can play off each other really good. You can really flesh out that dynamic, and I think this is my favorite pair to write.
I
They
think
just
as
go off.
well, like I see a lot of indie creators, and I'm gonna put myself included. Is like this is such a hard part for like how do I how do I get the message of what my story is like real quick? And Tommy's mom's a serial killer. Tommy's dad's a serial killer. He's not very well adjusted. Like
Yeah,
that's enough. That's all you need to know at that point. Like you can match
yeah.
the title with these 3 lines and go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like there's gonna be some nonsense
Some shenanigans.
in this
Yeah.
book. So like I think I like what you say by like over time you guys not only have you guys gone better with the art, the writing, but also with the business side of things, making a campaign, making it tight, making like you can tell like this wasn't just like a last minute let's put something up. It's like okay, what like there was time put into this. Like
Yes.
how do I convey immediately the story? Because once they scroll, I don't want them to read a paragraph. I need to
Yeah.
convey
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
everything. Yeah. So I like
It's
that
a
from
visual medium.
exactly.
It's a visual medium, and you know, that's also the beauty of the vignette. We can show different parts and stuff like that. I think it's a beautiful book. Um, and it's just like it's my perfect story. It's like the story. What comic would I want to read? And this is it. And that's why personally my favorite. It's also like some of my, some of the stuff. I was a bad kid. I wasn't like as bad as Tommy, but like there's a lot when the comic can go from like scary to somber to like funny to like silly. And that's the beauty of it for me, and you know, like I guess Adult Swim vibe. I mean, I'd also argue like this cover, right? The Zombros. I feel like it tell like it kind of communicates as well. And this is also like this is a cover that is sexy, but I also think it tells the story, right? Like it gives character, you know what I'm saying, like as well. So
She's
it's
killing
like
someone. She don't give a fuck.
she's not giving a fuck. She's smiling.
Yeah, she's
she's
enjoying it.
having
She's
she's
enjoying it.
having a good time. Yeah, he might be enjoying it too.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe maybe. Yeah, like I remember reading the first one. I remember having to read it several times because at first I was like, I don't think maybe I just didn't. I was like, maybe I just didn't understand it, and I was like, I could not get. I was like, I could not get the tone. I was like, am I supposed to be happy? Am I supposed to be sad? Am I supposed to be confused? Like I was like, am I supposed to be angry at someone? Because I'm like the moments where I'm like, am I supposed to be young, angry? I'm like kind of rooting for the character, um, and ultimately I was just like, I think this is what he's trying to go for. Like I'm supposed to not
Yeah.
real. I'm supposed to just like be on my toes. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
could happen in this world.
No, yeah, a million percent. Because we understand, and then what's happened. I'm self-taught. I'm a self-taught creator. I don't have a writer. I didn't have. I think I had a creative writing class. There's so many resources about story now, and we understand that all stories are kind of every genre is. There's it's so easy to tell where a story is going now because we have so many resources, and critique of story is a business in of itself now, which
Mm-hmm.
wasn't always the case. And yeah, you just have to go with it. And yeah, no matter what, it's a gorgeous book. I mean, no matter what you could say,
Yeah, people are
it's
saying it's giving them Scotty Young vibes.
yeah, it's beautiful. And but I'm telling you, like character wise, it's gonna be so fucking it. And also, what's interesting, right? It let's use Alan Moore, you know, as an example. When I read Watchmen, there's shit I don't understand on the first, second, third, fourth. I learn new things about Watchmen through conversation, YouTube videos, or whatever. It's like you'll grant a mainstream thing a lot of grace. But like, isn't that what it's supposed like? Isn't something supposed to be thought provoking? Like because of it's an indie comic, I feel like people don't grant it. They don't grant space in terms of like I had this pressure where like yo every comic has to be great, and I was like why am I putting this pressure on myself that every comic has to be like perfect
Mm-hmm.
technically or fundamentally? That's not what not mainstream comics aren't like that.
Well,
Mainstream
also
movies aren't
like not it's like not every issue has to be perfect because this is a small section of an overall all story. So like you said, it's 12 chapters. Let's judge it when it hits the 12. I mean, obviously
I don't
it's
even agree with that.
I mean, obviously it's got to be good enough to get for the
Yeah,
each one's got to be good enough to get the person to hit the finish line and go to the next book, the next
yeah,
chap, like for the next issue. Like for example, I hate Tom King. I think he's an awful like writer. Um, but I have this problem where he has the best premises for stories, so I'll
yeah,
buy the book to read it, and I'll go, damn it, like I hated that whole thing. And I just read a recent one he did called Batman Killing Time. The premise was so intriguing, and the book sucked, but it was good enough for me to like the last two pages go, oh shit, I gotta read the next like issue, read the
yeah,
next
yeah,
issue, and go, fuck, this sucks. But then the last three pages, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta read the next
yeah.
issue. And like I'm not saying that's what you should aspire to, but your book doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to. It's got to be good enough to make someone intrigued enough to get to the next issue. And like
It's
yeah,
got to
you
be
should
good enough for the next issue,
yes,
basically.
and you should still make as good of a book as you can every issue. But the most important thing with when you're doing issue based comics is it's got to be good enough to get them to the next issue. Otherwise, it wasn't good at all.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a thing. I was talking about this with customer service as well. It's like with Kickstarter like backers. It's like if I order something overseas, right? Order product overseas and it's messed up, I'm cooked. Like I'm not even gonna go through the effort of trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a language barrier, there's a physical barrier geographically, all this it might be like, you know, all kinds of stuff that can get in the way. But I think people, because they're like, hey, I can speak to you, or even people like reading it, I can speak to you. I think it makes them more critical, and not even in a bad way. It's just something that I've noticed as well. Like in terms of like, yeah, I think in some regard we get held to a higher standard than the mainstream, because you'll give a mainstream comic a couple of, maybe because you like, you like Batman or whatever, but for whatever reason it seems like they get more rope, and I started giving myself rope,
That's
like
I like that because yeah, it was a Batman comic, and I was like, ugh, but it's good enough for a Batman comic. Whereas
yeah.
it's like I'm giving, oh, this wasn't good enough for I don't know what, but I don't know who Stokes is, so dropping him, and it's like no, give these guys some rope, and also I like what you said, give yourself some rope,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not trying to make the perfect comic. I feel like that's dubious. Now, for me, I feel like that's dubious. I'm rough. Like I said, I don't have any professional, I don't have it, I didn't have any like training, or like I'm learning this shit on the fly. I mean, we had a conversation a while back about Tap or Die. You were like, yeah, this panel could have used a speech over here. And like in retrospect, I'm like, track. But like also people like this series. I like this series a lot too. And then like I'm not gonna beat myself up over that.
You're gonna be like, okay, lesson learned, next time.
And you can see it. I mean, you read it. I mean, I don't know if you feel like it was better than the my previous stuff. Like I said, I think at the very least, everything you can judge at a glance, I feel like it's gotten better, and
Oh,
that's
100%.
important to
I
me.
think if anyone were to say like opposite, very disingenuous.
They'd be disingenuous, bro. And it's like also the beauty of it is like maybe it's fun to kill people using your shit, but I got other stuff too. You know what I'm saying as well. And I'm working on a book right now that I think is going to be my best book. And like that book to me is fundamentally beautiful. Like it's like writing. It's like everything's kind of coming together in terms of that book. So I'm like, okay, I can't wait for that to come out. But also that's not coming out until later. That won't be completed until like maybe the end of the year. So it's like you're really seeing the after image of the creator I am, because I've worked on, since it's fun to kill people, number one, I've worked on probably like fucking 8 books,
Basically, we're right.
maybe
It's
more.
2025, but right now we're still seeing 2020, 2024 Stokes.
Yes, you're still seeing 2024. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I'm looking here and like, yeah, man, some beautiful, some nice books. Um, and I don't give a fuck, man. That's a good one too. Now that's a good one too. Now,
Real quick, I don't like focusing on the money aspect, but like, how good did
shit,
that
why
fucking
not?
feel when that hit that bank account?
Dog, nah, fuck that. When it hit the bank account, when the fucking hit the number on Kickstarter, bro,
There we
it was
go.
fucking incredible. It was fucking incredible because you got, I mean, you like I said, like what motherfuckers was saying to me, and like I said, like you won't make 10K, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna quit, you're gonna do all this stuff. And it was a thing of like, no, I'm not quitting. Like I was never gonna quit, especially not because somebody from Twitter. And it's also validation as well, as in like,
I
no,
can do this. I have done this. Shut up.
and like I like even opportunities have already come from this book, like this campaign doing as well as it did, which maybe like I don't know. I have some thoughts on that. I feel like
No,
I should have had those opportunities regardless. No, everything's good right now, bro. Like I've never felt better about my career. Definitely getting a cosign from Pat will definitely do that. Like 100%.
what's something that
But
uh, what's something that you wish that you had more time to do in indie comics? That you're like, I wish I had more time to do this because maybe this could level me up, or what are the things that you're doing this year in 2025 to level yourself up more from last year?
I'm learning color theory now because, as I said earlier, like, and I mean this respectfully, like I said, what I've experienced is when you get to a certain level of artist, they're not doing the colors. This is not to say that a great artist can't do both. Like like I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like, and I'm not. I say I can't think of any. I'm not being facetious. I mean, literally, I
You're trying
can't.
to find someone who you specialize in coloring. You are. Is that what
Well,
you're
no,
saying?
that's just what I find. Like Marco, I think is a brilliant artist. He doesn't color. You know what I'm saying? Like Patrick Mulholland doesn't color. At least I'm sure they can color, but they don't do professionally.
Yeah.
Um, Jack Dunn, who does Cyborg Girlfriend. He does in color. So it's like, all right, I have to find colorists for these books. And I'm looking at it. If a page is off, I want to be able to say, well, I can look at the colors and say this is off, but I want to be able to explain
Why?
I want to be able to rationalize why. So yeah, I'm learning color theory. And then after that, I want to learn graphic design. It being super fucking rough. I didn't pay attention. Graphic design, I just couldn't do in my class. I did
Dude,
take a class for that.
do you still hire out someone to like make your Kickstarter pages? Like,
Fuck no. No, I don't think I ever did that.
okay,
No, I always made
okay. Do you like do this kind of stuff rewards?
You mean the graphics?
Yeah.
I don't do the graphics. No, I don't not that. Well, this one I did. The rewards, yeah, I did that. That was easy, but yeah.
Dude, you just gotta get like a.
But you also notice this.
You gotta get like a can.
There's not a lot of graphics.
Yeah, there's actually I'm like realizing there's not a lot of graphics on this one. I remember like Decay, you had like this whole like thing going on.
You gotta make it work for you.
Color is color is super important. Like it's crazy that color can ruin your line artists completely. Like it's just like wow, that'll just ruin the whole comic.
Well, it's also like they might like a good colorist I think knows. I mean, it's funny coloring the lines, but it's like a good artist, a colorist knows how to build on what's there. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you get a page where it's like this line art is beautiful, and you see the colors, and it's like, damn, you remove this, you remember that. Like there's like, and it's stuff like that. So yeah, I would say I think one thing I do resent, truthfully, and does bother me is one, the idea that I'm doing quantity over quality. And I guess I get that perception. I understand why people feel that way. But just I say quantity over, I emphasize quantity to show that one, I have lasting power. Two, I'm a professional. You know what I'm saying? And frankly, the amount of money, all these work for hire jobs that I've gotten have been people from Twitter. Charlie McKelvey, I met through Twitter. Pat, I met through Twitter. AJ, I met through Twitter. I got a book with Marcus McNeil. That was through Twitter. And so it's like, wow, somebody might look at that and be like, oh man, you just care about quantity. These guys that are paying me, they know I can do both. And also the idea that I don't care about craft is just really frustrating. And it does get to me. And I think I want to get better about being like, yo, this does bother me. It does bother me that people say these things because I care immensely about craft, bro. Like me and Chris Moses will get on a fucking Discord call and talk about books and craft and stuff for hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, but ultimately, one, the work is going to speak for itself. The numbers are going to speak for themselves, and also like you just can't convince those people. They're determined to hate. I'm not going to get in their way.
Also, it's funny, it's crazy, like because they'll be like, all the people I look up to are like, you know, Scott Snyder, this writer, and it's like, dude, aren't those guys putting out like 20 books, 20, 25, 30 books a year through like major publishers? So like if I can't put out 6 books a year in quality, but the person you're praising can put out 30.
Yeah, not to say that I'm like fucking, you know.
Not to say they're the same, but you're like, there's got to be some disconnect. There's got to be some kind of disconnect.
I might be Scott Snyder one day. Who the fuck can say? You know, why shouldn't I aspire to be that level of writer? That's the weird thing. I met Scott. You know, he was super nice. You know, super great guy. Does great books. But like, you're not good. To me, it was always about, I know I'm not great yet, but y'all aren't going to treat me like a bum. Like I know that I'm capable of doing hard work and applying what I'm learning and building on and getting better. Because frankly, making comics is not the hardest thing in life. Like I can't imagine it's harder than being like a parent, or there's so much things harder in life than making comics, frankly. That I'm like, I feel like a lot of people in the space they lack life experience. I think I've talked about this before. You know what I'm saying? Like new writers have this problem where they want to write about all these lofty things, but it's like, bro, I want to write about all this shit. I had 2 girlfriends in my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no kids. I ain't been married, divorced, blah, blah, blah. It's like going through that stuff also prepares you for like this, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of people are underprepared in that regard. But me, I'm just like, yeah, the hardships, as rough as life can be, this is nothing. Like this won't even come, not top 10, top 20 hardships, things you can experience in life. So
for sure. Well, hey guys, it's we've hit the hour. Stokes, thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show, bro. Seriously,
Thank you for having me.
I like seeing the evolution of our
Yeah,
conversations.
yeah. I mean, you better be happy we made up, bro. Because in reality, we didn't, bro. You be pissed right now. You be fucking
I'd
sick.
be like, fuck, that guy's still making comics. Again, I've
Yeah,
been like, fuck, he hit 20K.
I love it, bro. I love it, bro. When I need that little bit, I need that little push, bro. When I don't feel like getting up in the morning, that's that.
No,
That's
you're
when
good. If you ever you're like, hey Tyler, I feel like I'm slacking. Can you like start being mean to me again? I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I know you'll do
If
it.
your numbers start going down, I'll go like, fuck, I've got to be mean to Stokes again.
You fell off.
Yeah. If I see the numbers go down, I'll go, hey Stokes, you fucking suck, man. You're falling off. And then maybe you'll go, that's it. And then you'll do a 10K and you'll do a 10K or 20K and I'll go, hey man, I did that for you.
That's some good head cannon right there. It'd be great if everybody was trying to motivate me, real quick. Funny enough, I'm shocked that Larry was in here earlier. I thought y'all were like, whatever. But
it's an interesting it's just an interesting dynamic.
I was like, Larry was one of those guys. I was in my fucking head. I was like, yo, like, what do you think? What do you think about that, Larry? He was like, you're doing God's work. I'm like, man, there's nothing more satisfying than forgiving somebody and then proving them wrong. You get to live in both worlds.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, for sure. Stokes, where can people find you if they want to be following you and shit?
At Stokes Rider on Twitter, and then Instagram.com/Decay Comic.
Nice, guys. Thank you so much, Stokes, for coming on, guys. Go check out. It's fun to kill people. #1 and 2. You got 3 days left, so kind of like do this now.
It's
you definitely got to do it now. It's funded. Stokes. You can't have 17 created campaigns and not fulfill them. So, Stokes is going to fulfill your comics. You can
200. Scroll back down real quick. 276 back. I'm actually reading these books.
Oh,
imagine that, right?
Imagine that. Also, guys, I'll see you guys on Wednesday for My Sexy Witch Academia. Go check out the pre-launch link. I'll put the link in the chat, link in the description, and this will be this is gonna be the first book that we launch this year. And please make it a good one. I promise.
I like Sinchiro. Sinchiro's a good artist.
She's fantastic artist. I don't even remember. I got this done like a year and a half ago, and I was like, oh fuck, I should probably like use this now.
I love to sit on the cover, bro. I love it.
So all right, peace out, everyone. I know I've got so many fucking tabs.
Discord with 30,000 notifications.
Is that what it said? Oh, did my
Discord? It's like 33.
It's my editor. It's my